This is a CBS News special report. A presidential address and the Republican response. From CBS News headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening. The President of the United States will address the American people shortly from the Oval Office. The President will outline his vision and version of tax cuts and spending cuts designed to appeal especially to middle-income Americans. It could be a pivotal speech. This is a decisive hour for the President. He is attempting to reconnect with Americans, mindful of heavy losses among voters in Campaign 94 and the approach of presidential Campaign 96. Washington's new Republican powers and even some Democrats have already staked out rival tax cut plans. About half the people we surveyed for the latest CBS News New York Times poll say they have an unfavorable view of Mr. Clinton's handling of the economy. However, our poll also indicates an unfavorable view of House Speaker-to-be Newt Gingrich by a margin of nearly 2-1. So President Clinton hopes to get out front and seize the momentum tonight. Speaking from the Oval Office, here is the President of the United States.
Good evening. My fellow Americans, ours is a great country with a lot to be proud of. But at this holiday season, everybody knows that all is not well with America. That millions of Americans are hurting, frustrated, disappointed, even angry. In this time of enormous change, our challenge is both political and personal. It involves government, all right, but it goes way beyond government, to the very core of what matters most to us. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Let's start with the economic situation. I ran for president to restore the American dream and to prepare the American people to compete and win in the new American economy. For too long, too many Americans have worked longer for stagnant wages and less security. For 2 years, we've pursued an economic strategy that has helped to produce over 5 million new jobs. But even though the economic statistics are moving up, most of our living standards aren't. It's almost as if some Americans are being punished for their productivity in this new economy. We've got to change that. More jobs aren't enough. We have to raise incomes. 50 years ago, an American president proposed the GI Bill of Rights to help returning veterans from World War II go to college, buy a home, and raise their children. That built this country. Tonight, I propose a middle-class Bill of Rights. There are 4 central ideas in this Bill of Rights. First, college tuition should be tax deductible. Just as we make mortgage interest tax deductible because we want people to own their own homes, we should make college tuition deductible because we want people to go to college. Specifically, I propose that all tuition for college, community college, graduate school, professional school, vocational education, or worker retraining after high school be fully deductible, phased up to $10,000 a year for families making up to $120,000 a year. Education, after all, has a bigger impact on earnings and job security than ever before. So let's invest the fruits of today's recovery into tomorrow's opportunity. Second, bringing up a child is a tough job in this economy. So we should help middle-class families raise their children. We made a good start last year by passing the family leave law, making college loans more affordable, and by giving 15 million American families with incomes of $25,000 a year or less an average tax cut of more than $1,000 a year. Now I want to cut taxes for each child under 13, phased up to $500 per child. This tax cut would be available to any family whose income is less than $75,000. Third, we should help middle-income people save money by allowing every American family earning under $100,000 to put $2,000 a year tax-free in an IRA, an individual retirement account. But I want you to be able to use the money to live on, not just retire on. You'll be able to withdraw from this fund tax-free money for education, medical expenses, the purchase of a first home, the care of an elderly parent. Fourth, since every American needs the skills necessary to prosper in the new economy, and most of you will change jobs from time to time, we should take the billions of dollars the government now spends on dozens of different training programs and give it directly to you to pay for training if you lose your job or want a better one. We can pay for this middle-class Bill of Rights by continuing to reduce government spending, including subsidies to powerful interests based more on influence than need. We can sell off entire operations the government no longer needs to run and turn dozens of programs over to states and communities that know best how to solve their own problems. My plan will save billions of dollars from the Energy Department, cut down the Transportation Department, and shrink 60 programs into 4 at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our Reinventing Government initiative, led by Vice President Gore, already has helped to shrink bureaucracy and free up money to pay down the deficit and invest in our people. Already, we've passed budgets to reduce the federal government to its smallest size in 30 years and to cut the deficit by $700 billion. That's over $10,000 for every American family. In the next few days, we'll unveil more of our proposals, and I've instructed the Vice President to review every single government department and program for further reductions. We've worked hard to get control of this deficit after the government debt increased 4 times over in the 12 years before I took office. That's a big burden on you. About 5% of your income tax goes to pay for welfare and foreign aid, but 28% of it goes to pay for interest on the debt run up between 1981 and the day I was inaugurated president. I challenge the new Congress to work with me to enact the Middle Class Bill of Rights without adding to the deficit and without any new cuts in Social Security or Medicare. I know some people just want to cut the government blindly, and I know that's popular now, but I won't do it. I want a leaner, not a meaner government that's back on the side of hardworking Americans. A new government for the new economy, creative, flexible, high quality, low cost, service-oriented, just like our most innovative private companies. I'll work with the new Republican majority and my fellow Democrats in Congress to build a new American economy and to restore the American dream. It won't be easy. Believe you me, the special interests have not gone into hiding just because there was an election in November. As a matter of fact, they're up here stronger than ever. And that's why, more than ever, we need lobby reform, campaign finance reform, and reform to make Congress live by the laws it puts on other people. Together, we can pass welfare reform and health care reform that work. I'll say more about what I'll do to work with the new Congress in the State of the Union address in January. But here's what I won't do. I won't support ideas that sound good but aren't paid for. Ideas that weaken the progress we've made in previous 2 years for working families. Ideas that hurt poor people who are doing their dead-level best to raise their kids and work their way into the middle class. Ideas that undermine our fight against crime or for a clean environment or for better schools or for the strength and well-being of our armed forces and foreign policy. In other words, we must be straight with the American people about the real consequences of all budgetary decisions. My test will be, does an idea expand middle-class incomes and opportunities? Does it promote values like family, work, responsibility, and community? Does it contribute to strengthening the new economy? If it does, I'll be for it, no matter who proposes it. And I hope Congress will treat my ideas the same way. Let's worry about making progress, not taking credit. But our work in Washington won't be enough. And that's where you come in. This all starts with you. Oh, we can cut taxes and expand opportunities, but governments can't raise your children, go to school for you, give your employees who've earned it a raise, or solve problems in your neighborhood that require your personal commitment. In short, government can't exercise your citizenship. It works the other way around. The problems of this new world are complicated, and we've all got a lot to learn. That means citizens have to listen as well as talk. We need less hot rhetoric and more open conversation, less malice and more charity. We need to put aside the politics of personal destruction and demonization that have dominated too much of our debate. Most of us are good people trying to do better, and if we all treated each other that way, we would do better. We have got to be a community again. Yes, some people do take advantage of the rest of us by breaking the law, abusing the welfare system, and flaunting our immigration laws. That's wrong, and I'm working to stop it. But the truth is that most people in this country, without regard to their race, their religion, their income, their position on divisive issues, most Americans get up every day, go to work, obey the law, pay their taxes, and raise their kids the best they can. And most of us share the same real challenges in this new economy. We'll do a lot better job of meeting those challenges if we work together and find unity and strength in our diversity. We do have more in common, more uniting us than dividing us. And if we start acting, we can face the future with confidence. I still believe deeply that there's nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed by what's right with America. This is not about politics as usual. As I've said for years, it's not about moving left or right, but moving forward. Not about government being bad or good, but about what kind of government will best enable us to fulfill our God-given potential. And it's not about the next election either. That's in your hands. Meanwhile, I'm going to do what I think is right. My rule for the next 2 years will be country first and politics as usual, dead last. I hope the new Congress will follow the same rule. And I hope you will, too. This country works best when it works together. For decades after World War II, we gave more and more Americans a chance to live out their dreams. I know. I'm blessed to be one of them. I was a widowed mother at a time when my state's income was barely half the national average. The first person in my family to finish college, thanks to money my parents couldn't really afford, scholarships, loans, and a half a dozen jobs. It breaks my heart to see people with their own for themselves and their children shattered. And I'm going to do all I can to turn it around. But I need your help. We can do it. With all of our problems, this is still the greatest country in the world, standing not at the twilight, but at the dawn of our greatest days. We still have to be thankful for. Let's all remember that. Happy holidays, and God bless America.
President Clinton calling for a middle-class Bill of Rights to raise the standard of living of Americans, and also saying that he wants a government that's cleaner, not meaner. The president's plan is aimed squarely at middle-income Americans with proposals tailored to those earning less than $75,000 or $120,000 a year. The highlights include a tax credit for every child, a deduction for college tuition, plus help for those families who want to use their IRAs to help pay for college, catastrophic medical bills, or first-time house purchases. The president said his tax program is the best, and he portrays the various Republican plans as, among other things, tax breaks for the wealthy. Now, the Republicans have a different, so in keeping with our long-standing CBS News policy to alternate on major issues of the day, we're going to present a response by congressional Republicans. They have chosen new Senator Fred Thompson, Republican of Tennessee, to represent their views this evening.
Hello, I'm Fred Thompson. On November 8th, the voters of Tennessee elected me to represent them in the United States Senate. And tonight I've been asked to speak to you on behalf of the new Republican majority in Congress and Republican elected officials in your state. The first thing I want to do is thank you for the support and confidence you placed in Republicans on Election Day. You elected a record number of Republican governors, state legislators, and mayors all around the country. And for the first time in 40 years, Republicans will be in the majority in both the House and the Senate. Our government, especially in Washington, needed that big change. Those of us who just came to town don't claim to have all the answers. I'm still just unpacking my boxes. But one thing we do know, we know why you sent us here. To cut big government down to size, to turn Congress around, and to set our country in a new direction. We campaigned on these principles, and now we're going to do something that's become all too unusual in American politics. We're going to do exactly what we said. In fact, it's already taken place. First, Congress getting its own house in order. Republicans are cutting the number of committees, and we're out. One of the first bills we passed in January says that Congress has to live under the same laws that Congress imposes on everyone else. Maybe Congress won't pass so many laws when it actually starts having to live under a few of them. We're also working with Republican governors. We're going to stop the Washington knows best crowd from mandating that your state and local governments do all kinds of things that end up costing you higher taxes. We're going to pass a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution to control government spending. That's what we'll do in January. Other changes will take more time, but we will continue to move straight ahead to term limits and to reducing the tax burden on families and working people. And we're going to tackle a welfare system that pays people more not to work than to work. One of our most important efforts will be to cut back the executive branch of government and to face this bureaucracies which more and more run our lives. This week, the Republican congressional leadership asked the president to immediately stop federal agencies from issuing regulations until we've had a chance to cut some of the old ones. On some of these issues, we need the support of the president and the Democrats in Congress, and we work together with them. But over the past 2 years, the president and the Democrats in Congress have opposed the balanced budget amendment, proposed more big government spending, and tried to put a bunch of new government bureaucrats in charge of your health care. Until a few weeks ago, even saying we didn't even need a tax cut. Yet, from what we heard tonight, the president's vision for the future now looks a lot like what Republicans just campaigned for, at least until we start looking at the details. Your vote this election apparently got the president's attention. If the president's new position tonight represents a change of heart, we say welcome aboard. If we can actually cut Washington down to size and put the savings back into the pockets of the people who earned it, we won't need to argue over who gets the credit or who thought of the idea first. If, however, the president's words are based more upon public opinion polls than real conviction, if we're just talking about politics here instead of fundamental change in direction, then we're going to be at cross purposes. We must do more than reshuffle agencies and take money from one place just to add it somewhere else. We welcome the president to help us lead America in a new direction. But if he will not, we'll welcome the president to follow, because we're moving ahead. We know it's time to change a system where Americans who work hard, raise their families, and obey are taxed, regulated, and ignored, while their government becomes bigger and more arrogant every day. Republicans have come together to reverse that trend, set America back on the road. That's what you hired us for. It's your government, and your continued support can change it, because whatever Americans can dream, we can do. Thanks for listening, and may you and your family have a happy and healthy holiday season.
That was new Senator Fred Thompson of Tennessee giving the Republican response to President Clinton's tax cut for the middle class and spending cut proposals. Tonight, two different views, opening shots in a debate that will affect your family's Campaign 96 and the future of the country. There'll be more about October on Eye to Eye, your late local news, and on Up to the Minute, plus all the day after developments on CBS this morning and the CBS Evening News tomorrow. Now, for some of you, coming right up is the drama Chicago Hope. For viewers on the West Coast, there will be immediately following this more of the day's headline stories coming right up on a special edition of the CBS Evening News. That's for the West Coast. Either way, stick right here with us on the CBS station. For now, Dan Rather, CBS News, reporting from New York.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening again. Connie will be along a little later tonight with Eye to Eye. Right now, let's get some added perspective, some context on what you've just seen and heard. President Clinton's address to the nation proposing his version of tax cuts, especially for the middle class, and the Republican response. CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer joins us now with analysis. Bob?
Well, good evening, Dan. The president didn't waste a lot of rhetoric at the top of this speech, none of the high-flown phrases and all of that. He just came on and said, here are some tax cuts I have for you. This is kind of a White House, Dan, that's had a kick-me sign on it since the election. People have just been flailing around trying to figure out where to go and how to recover from the big landslide loss. I think the president truly saw this as an attempt to try to jumpstart his president, to get it back on track, and to make an appeal to the people in the middle, working class, middle class Americans, the people who voted Republicans and caused this big sweep in November. He came on hard tonight. He made some fairly controversial proposals. The question is, can he pay for them?
Bob, how's the president's plan going to play on Capitol Hill, especially with the newly triumphant Republican majority?
Well, they've already put out their own versions of tax cut plans. Senator Phil Gramm issued one today. The Republicans, of course, in the House ran on it during the election. There will be some popular things in here. Deducting college tuition will be a very popular thing. But already the Republicans are saying the president has some flaws in his bookkeeping. These tax cuts that he proposed tonight run about $60 billion. He says he can pay for them by reducing the size of government, but Republicans on the Budget Committee, first analysis tonight, told us just a little while ago, keeping maybe as much as $25 billion off. So that's the starting point. We'll see what happens to that.
Republicans opening up on President Clinton already, and Bob Schieffer live on Capitol Hill. Thanks. Jimmy Carter conferred with U.S. Secretary of State Christopher today about Mr. Carter's upcoming private peace mission to Bosnia. President Clinton has offered a military plane to take the former president to Sarajevo this weekend at the invitation of the conquering Bosnian Serbs. But U.S. officials say they are skeptical. They say the Serbs have offered nothing really new and may be trying to use Mr. Carter to undercut the international peace plan that's already on the table. Straight ahead on this special West Coast edition of the CBS Evening News, an incredible California mountain rescue story. Even more amazing, wait till you hear how the help got there.
I was really downing those tablets. Started to think there was something really wrong with my stomach. Was I relieved when my doctor said I just needed a stronger antacid tablet.
Mylanta tablets are made stronger to last longer. Compared to the leading tablet, Mylanta is shown to be more effective and longer lasting at controlling stomach acid.
Unbelievable.
Mylanta tablets, made stronger to last longer.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Dear Aquafresh, my teeth were so sensitive.
It was awful.
Aquafresh Sensitive targets the problem, soothing the nerve to help stop the pain.
No more pain.
And great fresh taste.
Aquafresh Sensitive soothes the nerve, helps stop the pain.
Thank you.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
When you need to send money fast, only Western Union lets you send it from home.
Hello.
Rita. Just call 1-800-CALL-CASH. Western Union, the fastest way to send money worldwide.
Here in Ohio, we tested the new Honda Accord V6 and discovered that the car more people buy than any other is now better and quicker than ever before. Now, why would you want a car that lets you get away so fast?
You're late.
You got your reasons. The new Accord V6 from Honda.
Hi. Thought you might like a little help.
Thanks, my hands.
Should I get your Advil? I'm trying that new naproxen sodium. But this has special dosing restrictions for people your age. Your Advil doesn't.
I'm only 66.
And what if you take this and your pain comes back?
Oh.
You may be in pain for hours before you can take more. Doesn't your doctor recommend Advil for you?
You're right. I'll take Advil.
Nothing is proven more effective or longer lasting than Advil. Nothing.
The Unabomber. He packages like this one. He murdered this past weekend. Can he be stopped before he kills again? An eye-to-eye investigation tonight.
Word tonight that Kiwi Airlines, based in the East, has agreed to suspend all flights following a special safety inspection by the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA says it needs to know more about Kiwi's pilot training program and whether that program meets FAA standards. Not immediately known what happens to passengers booked for holiday travel on Kiwi Airlines. In North Carolina, air crash investigators studied the site where American Eagle Flight 3379 went down this week. One important clue, the plane's cockpit voice recorder indicates that just before the crash, the pilots discussed aborting their landing after determining that one of their engines had failed. Investigators are now focusing on the pilots' reactions to that, since in most cases, aviation experts say a pilot should be able to fly safely on only one engine. A plane crash in rugged mountains east of Los Angeles produced an incredible story of heroism. The small plane went down yesterday, trapping the pilot inside. He was finally rescued today by emergency workers alerted by the plane's one passenger. The passenger was a 35-year-old man who broke his back in the crash, but still managed to pull the pilot out of the wreckage, then hike 7 hours to get help. In Fresno, the last desperate act of the pilot of a Learjet under contract to the California Air National Guard is being credited with sparing at least some lives late yesterday. the pilot veered away from a school building just before his crippled plane plowed into an apartment building. Correspondent Sandra Hughes has a report.
Investigators dug through the debris. Business owners picked through wreckage, and Sandra Gonzalez, who was one of 14 injured when the Learjet crashed, remembered the most terrifying moment of her life.
I caught fire. Something hit me. Some part of the plane hit me. Just my body. It was just real hard impact.
It had exploded when it hit the apartment building where Carol Rodriguez lived. 18 units were destroyed.
What do you have right now?
Just the clothes we had on our backs.
The civilian Learjet was returning from military maneuvers when the pilot radioed his engine was on fire.
It was weaving back and forth, and I followed it until it hit.
Stretchers carrying the wounded dodged burning cars.
Got explosives and we're letting those burn.
People braved the flames to save children.
They threw me a newborn baby. You know, I caught the baby.
Investigators say the casualty count could have been much higher. This elementary school, just 1,000 yards from the crash site, had a playground filled with children when the jet went down.
We firmly believe that the pilot did everything possible to avoid the school because we were right in its path.
The pilot and co-pilot were killed. Eyewitnesses say the crew was struggling to put the jet down on the street. The FAA says the jet had lost both engines.
As far as I'm concerned, that makes a hero out of somebody like that.
Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board must now determine why the engines failed in the first place. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Fresno.
New aftershocks tonight from the Orange County, California investment debacle, the first layoffs of county employees. Dozens of school custodians, clerks, and classroom assistants are being laid off after work tomorrow. Orange County filed for bankruptcy last week when it was disclosed that risky business investments resulted in losses of $2 billion. The nation's largest eye care insurance company blinked today in a price policy dispute with the U.S. government. Vision Service Plan agreed to change its practices after the Justice Department said the company was keeping eye doctors from offering deeper discounts to millions of customers in more than 40 states. Major League Baseball owners checked their swing tonight. They pulled back from a threat to impose a salary cap, a move that could have sent the players' strike deep into next season and the issues into court. The owners said they'd delay a decision for 7 days and try again to reach a negotiated settlement. Australian scientists have taken the wraps off a remarkable discovery. Meet the real Jurassic Park, a grove of pine trees in a remote Australian rainforest. Living examples of trees thought to be extinct for 65 million years. The tallest is 130 feet high. And today, researchers announced they even have seedlings. Exact location, a secret, in case of poachers looking for Jurassic bark. And that's part of our world. Coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, Eye to Eye with Connie Chung takes you along on the search for the Unabomber. I'm Dan Rather. See you again tomorrow. Good night.
Experience CBS News. This is CBS. Why are all these people shopping at video only?
The prices are good, the people are fun.
When I walked in the door, they greeted me right away.
We got a good price.
I felt comfortable, very willing to make a deal.
The prices are competitive?
Check all the other prices, come here, and they'll probably beat it.
Very knowledgeable.
The prices are great.
The price is always the best here, and you're getting a good product.
They just had such a good deal on the TV here.
You get what you want in and out fast.